Welcome to Monthly Mentoring with Christine Stevens. Our topic today is correct compensation. Correct compensation. We'll be talking about that oh so uncomfortable moment when the potential client says, "What does it cost?" You have three choices: freeze, throw out a number, or what we'll be learning today, choice 3. Okay. So thank you, David, for that accompaniment, and Liliana. Good job. Give them some Zoom applause. And let me mute people. Okay, you can unmute yourself if you have a question or comment. Okay, who is this person? I see a scrambled bunch of letters.
Carol.
Carol, oh gosh, this is Carol.
Yeah.
Carol,
Hi.
did you see what I sent you?
I just saw it like 10 minutes ago.
What'd you think?
Oh, I really like it. I really love the beginning and the end especially. And I just, in the middle, I was like, oh, it gave me another idea. I really like it.
94 words.
Yeah.
Please send me your bio, you guys. After I teach the topic, then we'll take a look at this bio if Carol gives us permission to share it with you. Okay, today's topic is correct compensation. Oh man, this is such a good topic because it's challenging, right? Because the field that we're in is less standardized. And so we tend to think, well, what am I supposed to charge? And we have all kinds of baggage with it. And here's why this is so important. Believe me, I spent a lot of my life undercharging or saying yes to things that didn't pay enough. And I took a hit emotionally, physically, exhausted. I got angry, but I only had myself to be angry at because I was the one who set the price. I was the one who said yes to the gig, right? So I had trouble saying bigger numbers. I did lots of work, inner work, found out that sure enough, I'm a people pleaser. I can't say no. Any other people pleasers on the call? So I had to work through some of that, like, wow, I have to say yes. I mean, this is my mission to do drumming, you know. So the school calls, they have 300 kids in assembly and they're going to pay $100. And I'd feel this sort of responsibility like, well, okay, if you'll have your students meet me at the door and help me load in. At least I did that. But what happens is you really take a hit when you undervalue yourself. You know what I mean? You're the one who suffers, and you are your product. You are your product. Self-care is our #1 quality assurance. Just like they're checking the machinery, you are your product. So when I take a retreat, which I do frequently, that's a write-off for my business because I know that that improves my ability to stay juicy, alive, and excited about my work. So we're going to begin today's call. I'll give you the roadmap of today. I want to guide you in a meditation of recognizing your worth. And then we'll talk about the specific tools of setting your fee menu, which you should all create. You don't ever have to show anyone the fee menu. It just might be an internal document for you, as it was for me. And you got to have your low number where you won't go below it. Your no number. Like, sorry, too low. Because I have learned the hard way. When I said yes to those numbers, I suffer. Anybody know what I mean? Like, I come home exhausted. I don't feel happy. In fact, I don't even do a good job at the event because I'm a little bit mad. Like, oh, these people are just paying me this much. And it's like, I'm the one who said yes to that. I remember coming home from this gig once and standing and looking in the mirror and going, "You're fired. You're a terrible manager. You undersold my business work. You're fired." I fired myself in the mirror because I couldn't negotiate a correct compensation. Now, the reason I use the word correct compensation is that you can go to plenty of these programs about making lots of money. I mean, I've taken them, I've taught at The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind with T. Harv Eker. It was a great book. That book I really recommend, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. It helps you change your thinking around money. And I taught for Harv for, I don't know, like 8 years in Los Angeles when I lived there. And what I learned from all of this, it fits for me and how I'm training you all, mentoring you all, is correct compensation. When it's incorrect, it hurts. And I just want to be in the correct amount. I don't want to be in the consciousness of, I want to make lots of money. That's really not my consciousness. I want correct compensation. I want it to feel like an exchange. That amount feels correct for what I just offered to this program. So what we're going to do is a meditation. You can just stop taking notes. You can sit back, put your headphones on, and really let yourself absorb what I'm going to guide you in. A meditation on your worth. Because guess what? A lot of correct compensation begins with you, like David was sharing, recognizing your worth, because other people will tell you your worth. But you're the one who's setting your fee menu. Make sense? So let's get ready for this guided meditation practice. Sit back, take a breath. You're not drumming, I'm going to drum while I guide you so that you feel a rhythm. But take a breath as we kind of shift gears into the inner work that is required of us to really do the soul-searching work about what's sometimes hard for us to do, which is to recognize our value. Okay. Take a breath. And if you're willing, close your eyes. I'm going to guide you on a little journey into your own experiences with this work you offer currently. So just taking a breath, let's begin by remembering what called you to this work. This passion work. Live your passion, this course is called. So let's take a moment and remember that beginning root. And think about for a moment, let a memory come up. Memories of your training in this work and your experience in this work. Do you remember how good it felt the first time you delivered this work that gave you so much passion, happiness, and joy? Do you remember how it affected others? Can you call up a memory of a time when someone came up to you after what you delivered and said, "That changed my life," or "That shifted me," or "That helped me," or "That was healing for me"? and remember how much you've invested in your own personal growth and training to work in this field. In terms of actual physical cost, in terms of the cost of hours. What about the cost of materials? What materials have you purchased that help bring your work to the world? And those are just the things we can kind of calculate, but now let's go into the pricelessness of the results of this work. So one thing I do is I keep a file called Warm Fuzzies. Something I learned from my mentors, and it's all the testimonials from people that had life-changing good experiences from my work. I keep that around. Here, I'm going to read to you from one of those. I took your Shift Network program. I enjoyed every minute of your class. I felt so fortunate to be in the Earth Day drumming. I got many drums and instruments, but I got the frame drum and I loved it. It has opened doors of awakening my rhythm. Many elements you presented completely shifted me. Wow. Opened up the world of drumming in a quality from the heart. Some days I was lifted into rhythmic euphoria. Like the day we learned how to create our own healing drum rhythm while butterflies were landing in Encinitas. Thank you for the joy you radiate in your online course. So glad to be your student. So I save a bunch of these. They're very priceless to me every time I get a testimonial like this. So just take a minute and call that up in your own meditative moment right now. Have you ever heard someone tell you the pricelessness of your work, the value of how it's helped them? Take that in, breathe it in right now. And take a minute to think about what you've given up to pursue this passion. What risks you've taken. Think about how it's shifted you. What personal growth. And how do you put a dollar sign on that kind of inner growth that you now bring into your work with others because you've walked it yourself? Now let this feeling ring throughout your whole mind, body, and spirit. Connecting with your value, the value of this work you do, the value of you doing this work, the value of the materials you bring to this work, the value of your investment in your training in this work, and the priceless value of how it's helped people. Okay. Anybody want to share anything from that experience? Who's calling from 303? Let me unmute you. Who's calling from 303? Hello? Oh, no, I don't know. Any comments about that meditation in recognizing, as we prepare to talk about correct compensation? You can put it in the chat bar if you'd like.
I have something.
Please.
So it brought up for me kind of I guess where I'm at. So I'm a rock drummer, I guess, for the most part. And I've been playing weddings and corporate events and blah, 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 and all these things for so many years. And it kind of brought that mindset to, I guess, to the front of my mind in correlation to drum circles, because like we don't play any gigs under $1,600. Like we just don't. Even if it's a nonprofit and they really want us, we're just like, I'm sorry for us to get our gear, our lights, our sound equipment, our stages, and get there and do it. I mean, it's $1,600 our minimum, and we're firm with that. And we oftentimes quote twice that much. So it kind of, I guess, brought up for me is that I need to have that same mindset in this as well. So it's kind of eye-opening that, like, why wasn't I already thinking the same way? Why was I like, this is different? When the county fair calls me, can you come to a drum circle on our community stage? I'm like, of course. Yeah. But man, it's going to be hot and it's going to be, nobody's going to be there. And like, really? Like, I think I'm going to pass. So that, and also like the scarcity versus abundance mindset too, that I use in my rock music and that I need to bring over. So thank you. That helped. So that's what it brought up for me. So
thank you. Give him some love. Zoom applause. Can anybody else relate to that? You had a moment of like, oh, that way I thought about that affects this now. Yes, Nancy?
So I kind of went the other way.
Okay.
Workshops, and I tend to sell myself short. Like I'm flying to Chicago at a crazy hour this week. I'm going to do a videotaping for wellness and mindfulness for the legal profession, and then come home. And I'm sitting going, but I'm only making this tiny bit. And so I'm struggling with that as far as in my own, in my profession. And my struggle with the drumming piece is I know how to facilitate, I know how to create an excitement and circle, but I feel like I lack in the training of drumming, so I can't even put a price on it. I would just give it away. And so I need to shift. And part of it is I feel like I need more training to learn more to be able to facilitate a circle, so that I at least have knowledge. I know it's more facilitating than teaching, but that holds me back from coming up with any kind of compensation. Although I've spent the money on multiple drums, I have visions of what it's going to look like. I'm excited. I've already said when I go back to New Jersey, I want to do these drumming groups at this one center, and that we would talk price. But my price is, I'm just thinking, to compensate me just to pay back myself for the drums. And so I have a ways to go on this.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Give her some support. A couple people wrote, I get it. I get that. Let's talk about that. So one important thing is when you can identify what's holding you back from viewing your quality, work on that. That's a breakthrough. You can say, okay, I just got an aha. What's holding me back is feeling like I can drum. That's an easy fix. That's an easy fix. Especially with online lessons. We were just talking about that. I've been promoting and recommending Marla Lee's Frame Drum Academy because it's an amazing online course. And I've been studying with her for 4 years. And I know confidence is the key to correct compensation, right? Confidence. So if you want to give away some services to get better and more confident, do it. Do them in your backyard, though. Don't fly somewhere to do it, right? Do it where it's easy, full of ease and grace. And then I will tell you one thing that's important when you're learning and you feel like, I shouldn't charge much, I'm learning. Believe me, when I started doing diversity training, I had like zero real experience. I had a lot of life experience in diversity, but I was partnered with a diversity trainer. And I was joking with him. I said, I feel like we should go back and refund the money to the clients we had for the whole first year, because we got so much better at it by the second year. And he was like, it doesn't matter. We can't undersell ourselves. The whole profession would be screwed. And there's that to think about, right? Because, you know, I remember bidding a diversity training program for $4,000 for a 4-hour training at a college, 20 years ago. And they gave it to a drum circle guy who bid it for $150. So, it was because that person was thinking what you're saying, like, oh, I'm new, I don't really feel confident, I'll just charge this much. So it's great that you shared that, and my advice is just dive into the piece that needs more confidence, because I know when I started taking frame drum lessons, and I'm sure that was part of manifesting the Shift Network course for me, because I did start to feel after a few years, super more comfortable. I was always playing, but I felt like something about lessons gave me a higher level. It's sort of like what people say about privates in yoga. You can do yoga for years and years in the back of the room and you're screwing it all up. You have a private and all of a sudden you really know how to do a warrior, right? So yeah, Marla Lee Goldstein, I'll send you guys her link, because her academy is, the early bird deadline is like the 13th. So check it out. It's fantastic. She has a level 1 and level 2. But I'm just saying, like, this is when you can say, this is what's getting in my way, that's successful. Carol also wrote, I think since this is new, people don't really know what the work is. I worry about charging too much. Okay, I'm so glad you said that. This kind of like, you guys making these comments is really great for me as a mentor. Carol, is it really new what you're doing?
Well, I think
your profession is probably one of the oldest things of humanity.
Yeah, and it's not prostitution, y'all. So just let's throw that out. Just
He's not doing that, because that's a whole other fee menu.
A whole other thing. No, but when I try to explain it to people, they're like, oh, weddings and funerals. I'm like, yeah, and house blessings, adoption ceremonies, like there's a whole other, so many other things. And that's where I'm kind of bumping up. And when people are like, oh, really? You're going to do something for an animal? Or, oh, and I feel like if they don't know what it is and the benefit of it, like, how can I charge for it? And I'm new at it. I just got certified at the end of last year.
You guys can hear the doubt in her voice, right? I mean, so I'm not attacking you, right? You're okay with this, Carol?
I know.
I'm just saying we can all hear you're doubting yourself. I'm just newly trained, right? So this is good. We're just airing our doubts because they get in the way of our correct compensation. It's good to air them. And I wasn't expecting that meditation would bring up all this good airing of the doubts, but that's good. So definitely you need a warm fuzzy file where you have the comment cards from people and you keep them right in front of you. I think that helped me build my confidence almost the most. Just seeing that people were actually having these transformational experiences with my work. And I have those going back to when I first started Upbeat Drum Circles 20 years ago. I was always passing out the 3x5 cards and asking for feedback. And I remember thinking, I can't believe, these people think it's so good. But Carol, this profession of this is okay when people say, oh, is it weddings and funerals? You say, yes. Brilliant. You got it. And, and yes, and. So all selling is teaching. Everybody say that. All selling is teaching, right? So you're teaching people. It gets frustrating to have to keep teaching people, but you're really doing a service that is probably one of the most important things, the master guru in a community, or the shaman always did this job, or, we've lost touch with the importance of marking transitions in life. So yes, you're right. It's weddings and funerals. And When you just think about all the times in your life that have been major transitions that you could have used support or ceremony or anything like that, that's what I bring. And I love that you listed things. It could be a house blessing. It could be an adoption ceremony. It's great when you give them a list. And you're going to have to get your rap down, Carol. You're going to get good at saying that. But guess what? You told me in your email you have 20 years of experience as a storyteller and an actress. So you're going to just apply all of that to telling someone what it is you do. And I really love that you're a celebrant. It's a great word. You know, I bring people through these transition times. So I would say cleaning off that stuff is really beneficial, and getting rid of that I'm newly trained. If you want more experience to build your confidence, great. Put out an email to your friends. I'm offering 5 free sessions or 2. I just coached someone to do this. She's starting to do drum circles in corporations. So my coaching to her was offer 3 free team building drum circles to from all the companies that you currently work with. And she booked all 3 of them in a month. And she went out and did all 3 of them. And from that, she got testimonials and practice and confidence. And now she's in a much better place to sell and market her work, right? So I say do more of it. If you want more practice, there's always friendship circles. There's always contacting a funeral home in town. You know, I'd like to know if you could give my card out to people. I'm offering a free consultation. All these kind of ways that we build our practice. So when we started this company called Music in the Mirror, which was a diversity training program that I did for 2 years at colleges, the first whole year we charged the same price as the whole second year booking our gigs. We were such a better team by the second year. That's okay. I mean, I had this weird feeling of like, I feel bad, like we should refund them. And Mark was looking at me, my business partner, like, are you insane? We did a great job. We just didn't do the extraordinary job we currently did. So there is a learning curve in the field. Get in the field. You know, practicing. And there was one more comment. Danette, drum circles, but in what I do, mindful self-compassion course. I'm told I will have to do many free introductions to attract people to my classes. Okay, Danette, let's talk about that. That's a great problem to have. Unmute. Okay, and then I'll dive into the teaching, but I'm just excited you guys are sharing like this.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, it is good to do free introductions. They don't have to be live. They could be a free call. You could do a free webinar on what is mindful self-compassion. And you post it on Facebook, or you post it, you know, you get a big list building tool like that. Like Carol could do how to mark transitions in a healing way. I mean, I'd sign up for that. So if you're doing what is mindful self-compassion, or you could do mindful self-compassion meets rhythm.
Oh,
wait, no, you're not doing drumming. So mindful self-compassion as a tool for fill in the blank. Because marketing is like, why do I need that? Mindful self-compassion for fill in the blank. For healing, for radiant aliveness, for getting through medical challenges, for mindful self-compassion for blank. 3 keys. This is another great thing for free giveaways. 3 keys to make peace with your inner self. I'm told I will have to do many free introductions to attract people to my classes. Nothing attracts people to classes like a free call. Absolutely. And here's why, you guys. We are in the field of market creation. We're not in market fulfillment, right? We're creating our market. We're attracting people. So just like Trader Joe's gives me a free sample of macaroni and cheese and I buy it, guilty. Wasn't on my shopping list. So you want to give people a taste of your work. And a free offer is great as long as you have something to sell behind it. I don't like to ever do a free something without something that I'm selling behind it.
so could you talk a little more about that? Because when I do my little free introductions, I've been doing them in person. I have them give me feedback, and then I ask them if, you know, I tell them about an 8-week class where they would actually have to pay. And people will say, yes, I'm interested, but when we send them the information about how to pay, then they back down. So I'm curious how you get that commitment.
Sure. That's called conversion rate,
Yeah.
right? How many people from the free event did I convert?
Right.
And what one thing that
immediately, but I would convert very few within a period of time. So I think there must be something about sign up today and
there's a discount and a free gift. Those are the two, limiters, like there's only 10 spots, or if you sign up by tomorrow night, you get this much off, or there's a free gift only if you sign up tonight. Those are all the motivators. Yep, people do well with an extra motivation, for sure. And you could probably do something like there's an 8-week course, and if you sign up tonight, I'm going to do a private session with you.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Okay.
I think I need some mindful self-compassion.
And I am, I'm doing a retreat here soon, and I am going to use drumming, a little bit of musical rhythm. In fact, I called you. Because you've sent me an email this past week. I want to use your cards where you make rhythm with your body.
Great.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's right. I got to check it. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm going to check for you if I have some of those.
Yeah, we want to use that for our for our retreat that we're doing in September. So.
Okay, well, let me bring this back to the group focus, but thank you so much for your good questions, because I think everybody learned from that, right? What did you guys learn from listening to Danette? How to make a motivating bonus, how to convert people, how to actually not do it live, but to do it online, right? Get a Zoom call and teach a little segment and offer a little bonus. So these are really great things. And if you have rhythm and sound involved in it, that brands you uniquely. The sound of mindful compassion. The sound of mindfulness, the sound of self-compassion. I'm not crazy about mindful self-compassion, it's a lot, but it could be the sound of self-compassion. Learn 3 keys in a fun, enlivening sonic environment to transform your inner peace, right? We have to be really come from that value of ourselves. When we did that meditation, just anchor yourself in that value. So the meditation I led you in had 5 key components of your value. Yes, Carol, good point. Add drumming to your work. 5 petals of what we just did. The cost of your training, the cost of your materials. I mean, I remember looking at my storage unit of drums and thinking, holy cow. I mean, I bring thousands of dollars of drums to my events. The cost of your personal experience, not the cost, the value of your personal experience. How many drumming events have I been to? Right? Not that I've led, but my personal experience. How many hours have I meditated with my drum? Right? That's a huge number. How many classes did I go pursue? That's your training. 4th, how much practice I've done with others. And if you're feeling like weak on that one, do start to offer some of that in some creative way. And 5th, the value that I bring that people have fed back to me via my Warm Fuzzies file, or hang on to those. They are priceless. When people tell you how you impacted them, that's something you really, really want to hang on to. And I put it right in front of my computer. I mean, it's really prevalent in my life. I always have on our board the featured testimonial. So my assistant, Misty, will come in and she'll crack up and I'm like, yep, there's a new featured testimonial on the board, because we just taught a training this weekend and we got a nice feedback from people, and I have it up there. Harpreet was there. I thought she was going to be on this call. Somebody in our group was actually at my live event, which was so great. Maybe she's here. Maybe she's 303. Anyway, it just shows you that these things are things, oh, good. One of my students told me learning a drum and dance with me was like falling in love again. Beautiful. What's the value of falling in love again? How do you put a price tag to these things, right? So we forget, because we live in a world that hasn't exactly acknowledged our skills and gifts quite yet. But we're the forerunners of that wave. We really are. There could never be a more perfect time that we're doing this work. the wellness movement, the transformational personal growth movement, however you want to phrase this. There's a lot of statistics on how much more people are investing in their personal health, their personal well-being. Baby boomers, the baby boomer demographic, as they retire, they have their whole bucket list is waiting. They always wanted to learn drumming or meditation. I mean, I'm seeing that wave coming into my programs now. And what's benefiting all of this is that there's a general global marketing sense of people have to take more responsibility for their health and well-being. It's really coming down to self-responsibility. The victim consciousness fed the medical model. Oh, you poor thing, you're sick, let me give you a pill. What's feeding the wellness model is individual responsibility. So you're speaking to the voice inside the person that says, I want greater happiness. I want greater self-compassion. I want to live a happier life. And all of us, no matter whether you're doing celebration or mindfulness or drum circles, all of us on this call, we are part of that movement. We are all part of that movement. Wellness, transformation, spirituality, health, community building, however we want to phrase it. And we want to come from selling that instead of the specificity of our tool. And that's why Carol feels like people don't get what I do. Because if you think too specifically about your tool, it's hard to communicate it. But when you go to, on the larger scale, as humanity is transforming on the planet, we're recognizing the importance of how we honor transitions in life. And we're bringing creativity to loss so that it can be a healing experience. I told you guys I was excited about this topic because I have really hit the bottom. I mean, I could cry thinking about that day that I was just like, I can't even believe I said yes to this. After I had loaded all my drums, schlepped them to a school, been paid $100 to put up with 300 screaming children, I was like, what have I been thinking? It hurt. It hurt. And I saw the pattern in me. I've been thinking, what was the hook? I think I feel this martyring responsibility, like, oh my God, if they called, I have to provide a service. And I wasn't valuing myself. So you have to have a low number. Like David said, you won't go below. You have to know you're low. That's why a fee menu helps. So on your handout, a couple of things that I like to think about. One, value before pricing. So I said in the beginning, here's that moment someone says, what does it cost? And you have three choices. Either you panic or you say a number in the moment, or three, value before pricing. Three is you say, let me sit down with you and learn more about your needs and let me explain the value of my program. These are some of the testimonials I've received. These are some of the results that come from this program. I know it might sound like a higher price ticket item than having a speaker come in because I bring in instruments for everyone to play. No one will be checking their cell phone during my program. Everyone will be engaged. So how do I establish value? How do you establish value to your person you're talking to, you guys? Anybody? How do you, to put it in the chat bar, how do you establish value? And you think about what they need. So I was just pitching a team building drum circle to an organization, and the price they offered me was too low. And I had to say no. But we did our best at giving them the value. You know, we sent them some YouTube links, some testimonials, some of the high points, got on a phone call, just establishing the value before the price, explaining the value of it, explaining what's different about it. And still didn't work out. But I've shifted beyond the days when I felt rejection. I shifted to a place of going, I'm expensive and they can't afford me, and that's okay, because I'd rather not go and hate myself for it, even though I feel this weird pull that I should. Like, that's some kind of hook for me that I have to look at so that I don't get hooked into it. and I can set my boundaries. And sometimes a year later they call. We are now able to pay you that amount, and we'd like you here. So establish the value before the price. The minute you right away pop off a number, my fee is this, dangerous. Much better to say, let me explain what I do. I'm thinking of Sheila. You know, I have X number of years in this training and that training. Sheila is amazing. She has all kinds of credentials. And I combine that with drumming, and it's an experience that you won't find anywhere else. It's completely unique. It's evidence-based. I've had these kinds of results, and I'd love to bring that here. Oh, and the price is. So teaching first, price second. Yes, research benefits are always good, of course. Methods of compensation, yeah, I mean, all kinds of compensation methods. I've been paid in all of these ways, by self-pay, by agencies, by grants, volunteering. I was paid in socks once. I did a drum circle for toe socks. They paid half of it in money and half of it in socks. I walked away with 12 pair of gorgeous socks that I gave to everybody for Christmas. I basically worked for my Christmas shopping list. It was awesome. That's rare. What is more common for me lately is a split. Anybody here ever done a split? So a split is when a yoga studio hires you to do a workshop, and instead of them giving you a flat fee, they say, let's do a 60-40 split. So they're going to give you 60 or 70%, and then they take 30 or 40%. I love splits because they're motivated to make money for you. They're motivated because they're getting a percentage of it, even if it's 80-20, right? So they're motivated. Self-pay versus agencies, but also this number 3 keys to setting fees: the cost, the value, and what the market can afford. I mean, we could just end the call there because those are the 3 monster key factors. What is the cost? What is the value? What does the market bear? You know, one thing when David was saying, you know, you're worth $250, you can say that all day, but if you're in a field where that's not predictable, you know what I mean? There are limiters based on the field. So we can be the premium item in the field, but we can also price ourselves out of the field. And so that's why we want to kind of look at, you know, Carol sits down and she does some research. What does it cost someone to hire a memorial facilitator? You know, she starts to look at what do people pay for these kinds of services, so she knows kind of what's the field about. Coaching, like what I'm doing, is a very interesting field because it's rather unregulated. I mean, there's becoming a little more regulated, but people are there's a very wide pay scale in coaching, probably dependent on people's experiences. So it's a little bit tricky that way, like the same as drum circles. In Health Rhythms, we tried to do some price setting to say don't go below 150, you know, for a 1-hour circle in an agency where you're going in and bringing the instruments, don't go below 150. So we tried to say this is the bottom. Because when we don't do that, everybody starts, you know, offering different numbers. So those are the 3 things: is the cost, the value, and what the market can bear. Let me see if there's anything else important on this list, and I want you to have time with each other. Yeah, the 80-20 law. This is really good. It's harder to get new clients than to retain current clients. So the more and more, when you were talking about, Danette was talking about her work. So when they finish the 8-week course, what do they do next? Right? So you convert mostly 80% of your customers come from 20% of the people. So 80% of your sales, I should say, come from 20% of your market. So you find your committed people. And then you have the next thing you're offering to them. Does that make sense?
It does. And I'm going to, if I can jump in for just a second, that's been a big focus for me is they take the class, they are transformed, they are excited, they love me, they love the group, and they go off and they go back into their own world and then they lose some of that. And so I'm trying to start this, I'm trying to build a community of these graduates and find out what will draw them to keep going and grow more in ways that I can make some money and keep them talking about this, doing this, so that word of mouth starts to grow. And I will tell you that so far that has been a monumental mountain to climb. But so I'm open to any suggestions about that.
No problem. I love that question. First of all, I'd be curious why it's so monumental, because to me it seems very low hanging fruit. You're just going to take the people that are graduates and market something to them. That doesn't sound so monumental. And secondly, you could also incentivize people, right? If you refer someone to my upcoming 8-week class, here's a gift, or here's $100 off the next program. Also, practicum groups are really, I'm seeing a lot more of that. I'm going to offer one of those next year called the Great Rhythm Sangha, which is going to be a monthly subscription group where we just get together and practice, right? So facilitated practice groups are like a meetup. Yes, great point. Like those kind of things, but how do we monetize that? We offer some new kind of teaching. So you could just call that advanced. I mean, people are drawn to that. And I think incentivizing people for referrals, and I don't think it's monumental. In my experience, like actually at the end of this course, I'm going to be inviting you all to join my mastermind course next year because I have the next course waiting for you. And then people say, well, what about when we graduate from mastermind? And I say, then you're done. Like if you want an individual session with me, call me, but otherwise you've graduated. So you're just creating your next tier, it's called, right? And actually I find those higher tiers to be way easier than the lower tiers. Okay, good questions. It's good for you to know how to make a fee menu. I'm going to send you all my fee menu. Don't circulate it and don't steal it, but I'm going to send it to you all confidentially so you can design yours on the same principles of what I designed it, okay? Which is basically testimonials, photo, links to YouTube, and yes, there is the price in there. We do put the price on there at the bottom. But oftentimes I get a request for a program and I write up a pitch, basically. Research the going rates, very important. And look, I wrote a script here. Thank you for your interest in my program. Once I understand the details of location, number of people, and length of program, I'm happy to provide a quote. Practice saying that instead of panicking and giving a number, which is how I used to do all my quoting. Yes, go ahead, Nancy.
Do you, like, when I go to Chicago, they're paying for my airfare and my hotel, and then I'm only doing the work for 2 hours, so I charge what I thought was good compensation for that. Do you do just the time you're going to be there, or do you think about the travel time, or do you feel like being paid for your hotel and your airfare compensates for that?
I don't feel like it compensates it for it. My out-of-town rate is higher than my in-town rate. Yes. Yes, Carol, it's on the handout. Once I understand the details of the location, number of people, and length of program, I'm happy to get you a quote. Whatever your factors are, right? So in your fee menu, you start to identify what are the factors in my quote of price. Travel, higher price for me. So yeah, that's something to think about, is the fact that you're going to spend a day on an airplane or something like that. So you know that's why we charge more for a travel gig. And your equipment is a selling point. For those of you that have drums that you schlep places, that's a big selling point. The soft no. It's tricky to say no. I like to call it the soft no, like I just did with this client. I said, I'm sorry that it's not going to work out this time, but I have a great retreat, and let us know if we can be of service in the future. Like, I'm never saying no, like, you upset me because you couldn't give me the money I asked for, right? So you have to do a soft no. Thank you so much for considering us for your event. Getting paid? Getting paid. So you have a client, Nancy's going to go to Chicago. If I have to travel, they're going to pay 50% up front, because I have to fork out, usually some time and so I have just a memo of agreement that just says, 50% due now, 50% due at the end of the contract. But it depends on what you want to navigate with the client, especially if it's somebody you know is good for the money. And if they hand you the travel agency, sometimes they have me book it. And I also usually just do an all-in fee, basically including flight, per diem meal, and the workshop fee. For your homework, practice with your accountability partner. Practice selling yourself or raising your price or a cold call telling somebody. Just practice selling. Practice selling within the correct compensation and make a fee menu. Even just for yourself. I mean, I have one that I send people and I have one that's more internal. That's sort of like, the other thing I'll say that's really important, I'm sorry, I'm kind of yapping a lot today, but I have a lot to say about this topic. The other thing I'll say is there are times that I do events for a lower fee because there's a great value for me. So I might negotiate, can I take photos and video? Or I might negotiate, maybe it's a company that I know is going to really help my resume building. So if it's also a feeder organization, for example, I did a free event recently in Carlsbad, California. Guess who the client was? The Young Presidents Association. So I'm figuring my 1 hour with them is more valuable than me taking out an ad in a magazine, right? I'm going to be in front of 80 young presidents of Southern California, and it turned out to be valuable. Actually, Toe Socks came from that. Or somebody, maybe it wasn't Toe Socks, but Toe Socks was in Carlsbad, and I think they might have been connected to that event. But for sure, we booked a couple of events because of that gig. So there are things I do for nothing. If they're not really for nothing, I do them for the marketing value. Even just the testimonials we received from that event were valuable. And we did get permission to videotape and take pictures. So those are really valuable to me. You know, I'm building my website. Now I got a photo live at the Young Presidents Association. So there are times when an organization does ask for something, and I'm not surprised at all that the Young Presidents don't really have to pay for their presenters because they're probably that kind of an organization where people are trying to get in front of them anyway, right? So sometimes it happens. So let's get in partners and let's share with your partner your next action step, okay? Any questions about that assignment? So I've unmuted everybody, didn't I? Yeah, you can unmute yourself, because what happens in the breakout room, the only person that's a mystery is 303. So I don't think that is working. All right, let's go to the breakout groups and let's spend just 5 minutes focus time. Tell your partner your next action step. Make sure each person gets to talk. Here we go. We're going into 5 rooms. Magically, breakout room tarot experience. You'll get the perfect partner. Go. Open all rooms. Oh, cool. Danette, I'm going to put you in a group with some other people.
I don't know why. I heard everything until she broke us into the room. Okay. Microphone. Microphone. Unmute my microphone. Oh, sorry about that. Um,